Welcome to Block Bytes, the channel for fast, easy-to-understand crypto news. I am Kara, and today at Block Bytes, we will be highlighting the biggest stories in crypto, so you get the key updates without the noise. Before we get started, a quick reminder, this content is purely for educational purposes and should not be treated as financial advice. To begin with, I will be handing over to Tommy, who will walk you through the top stories happening this week and why they matter. Then it's back to me to review some of this week's top social media posts, so you don't need to spend all day doom-scrolling crypto Twitter. Let's go!
Hey everyone, it's Tommy, and first up today, we are looking at recent comments from Binance CEO Changpeng Zhao, known as CZ. He recently made headlines with a bold prediction about Bitcoin. He says that this year, 2026, Bitcoin could break its traditional 4-year price cycle. That's a cycle many traders have relied on to predict price movements after Bitcoin's halving events. For context, Bitcoin's 4-year cycle has historically followed a familiar pattern. After each halving, the price tends to rise over the next year or two, peaks, and then corrects. Many investors use this as a guide, for timing the market. But CZ suggests the usual cycle may no longer hold. If Bitcoin really breaks the cycle, it could signal a shift in the factors driving its price. In the past, retail investors and supply constraints largely shaped market behavior. Now, broader adoption, institutional interest, and regulatory clarity could play a bigger role in driving Bitcoin's next moves. CZ also emphasized that he is a long-term holder, not a short-term trader. He's not issuing price predictions, but he expects Bitcoin's trajectory this year could deviate from historical norms, potentially pushing past previous highs in ways the 4-year cycle didn't account for. For traders and investors, this means it might be time to rethink strategies based solely on the 4-year cycle. Long-term factors like regulation, institutional involvement, and adoption trends may become more important signals than historical patterns. In short, CZ is signaling a potential turning point for Bitcoin, a move away from predictable cycles and toward a market shaped by bigger structural forces. How this will play out remains to be seen, but it's a prediction that investors and crypto enthusiasts will be watching closely in 2026. Next up, we're breaking down a major long-term shift inside Ethereum. The Ethereum Foundation has announced that post-quantum security is now a top priority, and they're backing that up with a new dedicated team and active development work. This isn't about something breaking tomorrow. It's about making sure Ethereum still works decades from now. First, let's quickly explain what quantum computing actually is. Traditional computers use bits. Those bits are either a 0 or a 1. Quantum computers use qubits. Qubits can be 0, 1, or both at the same time. Because of that, quantum computers can solve certain types of math problems dramatically faster than normal computers. One of those problems is the math that protects today's encryption, including the cryptography used by blockchains like Ethereum. That's the concern. Right now, quantum computers are not powerful enough to break Ethereum, but progress is accelerating. And if a real breakthrough happens, it could take years to safely upgrade wallets, nodes, and the entire network. So Ethereum developers believe waiting until the last minute would be risky. That's why the Ethereum Foundation is moving from research into execution. They formed a post-quantum security team led by cryptography experts already working deep inside Ethereum's infrastructure. This team is focused on making Ethereum resistant to future quantum attacks without breaking compatibility or decentralization. In practical terms, this includes bi-weekly developer calls focused on post-quantum cryptography, experimental test networks running post-quantum consensus designs, and new cryptographic tools that could eventually protect everyday Ethereum transactions. The Foundation is also backing this work financially, including $1 million research incentives to harden cryptographic primitives and accelerate innovation. This is a proactive move which helps generate time to respond. Security upgrades on a global blockchain can't happen overnight. They require coordination across wallets, apps, validators, and users. By starting early, Ethereum gives itself room to evolve carefully, instead of reacting in a crisis. In short, Ethereum is planning for a future where quantum computers are real, and it's doing it before the threat becomes urgent. That kind of long-term thinking could be critical to keeping Ethereum secure, decentralized, and trusted for decades to come. Lastly, we're taking a look at something unusual happening with Bitcoin. Global markets are moving higher, but Bitcoin is not. Instead, its price has stayed locked in a narrow range. Even so, Bitcoin bulls remain confident. They believe this pause has a clear explanation and may not be bearish at all. Let's start with the bigger picture. Bitcoin has not acted like a safe haven this year. Meanwhile, gold has surged. Inflation concerns and global uncertainty have pushed investors toward traditional assets. This has created a disconnect. Bitcoin is often called digital gold, but right now it is not behaving like one. According to Bitcoin bulls, this is not a demand problem. They argue Bitcoin is facing a temporary supply imbalance. Simply put, there is still excess supply in the market. Until that supply is absorbed, price movement is likely to remain limited. Another important factor is investor behavior. During uncertain times, investors tend to follow habit. For decades, that habit has been gold. Bitcoin is newer. It is digital. And for many investors, it still feels unfamiliar. So capital has moved into gold first, not because Bitcoin lacks value, but because gold feels safer. Bulls also note that Bitcoin has not fully decoupled from risk assets. Rather than moving independently, Bitcoin has traded in line with broader market sentiment. This has prevented it from outperforming during the current rally. However, bulls believe this phase is temporary. They continue to see Bitcoin as a superior long-term store of value. If gold becomes overextended, they expect capital to rotate out of gold and into Bitcoin. If that happens, Bitcoin could recover quickly and move higher. So what does this mean for investors? Short-term price action may feel disappointing, but bulls view this period as consolidation, not a breakdown. They believe the long-term narrative remains intact and that patience may be rewarded as market conditions change. In summary, Bitcoin is not keeping pace with the global rally, but according to bulls, the foundation is still being built. This phase is less about immediate price gains and more about positioning for what comes next. That's today's update. Let me know what you think. Is Bitcoin quietly setting up for a breakout, or is momentum fading? Thanks for listening. I'll see you in the next one.
Big news in crypto this weekend. A tiny new meme coin called Penguin exploded onto the scene after a viral social media moment. The token is built on the Solana blockchain. Its price and market cap skyrocketed by roughly 3,000% in just 24 hours. This happened after an AI-generated image of President Donald Trump walking with a penguin was shared by the White House on X. Traders quickly connected the meme to the Penguin token. This drove massive trading volume and hundreds of percent gains as speculators piled in. But analysts warn this kind of move is driven by viral hype, not fundamentals. The token could be extremely volatile. The chart from CoinGecko shows a cooling off period. The market cap has fallen from $153 million to around $75 million. That's the latest on the unexpected meme coin rally shaking up the market. Do you think the Penguin token has legs for another run? Let us know in the comments.
That's it for this episode of Block Bites. If this helped you stay up to date, like the video and subscribe for weekly crypto news, clear, fast, and easy to follow. If there's a story you're watching or a topic you want us to cover next, drop it in the comments. Thanks for watching. From Kara and Tommy, and we'll see you next week on Block Bites.